Hey guys, welcome to this edition of Scruff's Garage. We're still working on the LS1 build. Today we're going to be installing the oil pan. Of course, with my C5 Corvette, I've got the two-piece batwing style oil pan. So we're going to install the oil pan, obviously new main gasket and also a lower pan gasket. And also I've got a set of the improved racing oil pan baffles that I'm going to install as well, and I'll show you the modification that you need to make to the lower pan gasket and how those baffles install as well. But to jump into this, so to replace the first thing you'll need to do to replace the main oil pan gasket, if you still got the original oil pan gasket, it's actually riveted. Let me see if I can get that where you can see it. You can see there. In a couple of places, the original OE gasket is actually riveted to the oil pan itself. And there's a number of ways I suppose you could get those out. You could drill them out, you can cut them off, that sort of thing. So my method though is just a flathead screwdriver and a hammer. See if I can do this with the camera still in place. A couple of hits and it shears off flush, and then we should be able to pry the gasket off from the other side. Okay, so flip the oil pan over. Like I said, it's riveted in place in two spots. One over here, so pull that one out, and then one back here in the corner by where the oil filter goes. There we go, and there's the other rivet. And then this is the original upper pan gasket. I'm not reusing this, so we can discard this. And now I'll make sure this surface is good and clean, and then we'll move on to the installation. Okay, so we're over at the motor now. One thing I would suggest doing is just before you start installing anything, take your new gasket and just lay it out on the bottom of the engine block. Make sure everything lines up properly. One of the things I noticed is that when I put the windage tray in, I had it set over just a little too far this way, and it was going to interfere with the gasket, and it wasn't going to be able to get the bolt holes to line up as evenly as I wanted to. So I actually loosened the nuts here, and I readjusted it, and then I retorqued the windage tray. So just double check before you get too far into it. Hate to be setting the oil pan on and then realize something doesn't line up. The next thing we'll need to do, where the front timing cover meets up with the engine block, right, that gasket stops here, and then of course the new gasket will lay across here, just to make sure this doesn't become a path for oil to seep through. We'll put a little bit of RTV gasket maker on both of these corners. Doesn't take a lot, but we want to make sure we seal up that area. And when we put the rear cover on, we'll do a bead of it back here as well, but we'll do the back section, like I said, when we get to that rear cover. Okay, now we'll set the new gasket on. Okay, so I got all the bolts snugged. Now we'll torque them to 18 foot-pounds all the way around. There are two longer bolts that go through uh, the back of the pan down into the rear timing, rear block cover, but those don't go in until we put that rear cover on. So the first pass I did 10 foot-pounds, and now I'll go ahead and step up to 18. Just want to make sure the pan laid flat so I don't get any leaks. Okay, so we got the upper oil pan installed with the new gasket. The next step will be the oil pan baffles that fit um, in this area. So we'll talk about how we have to modify that gasket to get those to fit.